Good morning or afternoon or evening, everyone, wherever you're from, and welcome to the Presentations and Professional Development Panels section of today, International Youth Day. And today's panel is bringing together different change makers from around the world to share the different pieces of innovative work that they've been working on and how and what they've been doing to tackle challenges within their communities and around the world. Now, before we begin, I just wanted to do some quick housekeeping for Zoom. Please keep yourselves muted unless you're speaking or unless you're presenting. And if you want to ask a question, you can use the chat feature and we'll have all the questions directed at the experts at the end. So to kick things off, I wanted to start by introducing myself and then the experts. Okay, so I'm Ethan Chigundu, and I'm an actuarial science student at Michigan State University. I've focused a lot of my time on building communities through different initiatives, such as charity runs, and I created Uganda's first Rubik's Cube Club and organized the first World Cube Association accredited competition. So that's me. And now I want to take the opportunity to introduce our first expert, who is Brooke Hutchful. She is a higher education professional with over a decade of experience in student affairs and curriculum development, and currently she is a UGS program coordinator at MSU, and she designs student success seminars and professional development trainings, and is also an award-winning educator and national presenter. So, Brooke, would you like to take under a minute to say a quick word and maybe introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi everyone. I'm Brooke. I can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, you can.
Perfect. Awesome. I'm super excited to be here. For me personally, my educational experience ranges from a really intense homeschool schedule where I was like studying from like 3 a.m. to 3 p.m. And I've also taught in a lot of capacities, whether that is movement-based teaching with Taekwondo or um, ballet and dance, but also the ways that I design curriculum and classrooms here at MSU. Um, Also plethora of hobbies, multi-potentialite, but overall, I'm really excited to be here and listening to you all. It's my second year as an expert for International Youth Day, and I gush about this program. So I'm excited to hear what you all have to bring to us because I'm excited to learn and grow with you. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Brooke. We are glad to have you as well. Now I want to move on to our next expert, who is Muhammad Uzair Rahil. Please correct me if I'm pronouncing it wrong. I'm sorry. He is a PhD student and a graduate research assistant in civil and environmental engineering at Michigan State University. He does research on hydrology, land surface modeling, and climate resilience. And before his doctoral studies, he was a lecturer at Nangarhar University in Afghanistan. Um, I would like to invite him to take a moment and introduce himself, maybe say a few words.
Hi, good morning, everybody, and thanks, Ethan, for introducing me. I would say about myself that I am Muhammad Uzair Rahel. You can call me Rahel, and I'm a PhD student here. We are using land surface model to assess how climate change is impacting water resources in Michigan and also food production and how it has impacted historically the soil moisture and how it will propagate to the future. And in the past, as you said, I worked as a lecturer at the Nangarhar University, and I'm so happy to be here with you and to learn and share some of my experiences. Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you for that. And thank you to both of you for being here today for this special day. And I look forward to hearing your insights on the presentations today. Now, two quick notes on how we will run the day today. First of all, we'll have four presenters for this panel, and I will introduce presenter, and then they'll have around 15 minutes to present. And I'll give them a heads up when they're running out of time, just so we have enough time for each person to present. Each person will share their own slides, and however, if they're having technical difficulties, feel free to let me know, and I can take over and share the slides for you. And we'll leave time at the very end of all the presentations for everyone to ask questions to the experts or to the other presenters. So if you have any questions along the way, just drop them in the chat and we'll address them at the end. So with that said, let's get started, beginning with the first presenter, Perseverance. So Perseverance is from Zimbabwe, and she's the founder and CEO of Alzanel Group, which is Zimbabwe's only commercial scale and 100% solar panel powered agroprocessor. And it's a business that's supported over 15,000 farmers, and it has earned recognition across 4 different continents. Her presentation is called Food Loss to Food Security, and she'll take us through how Alzanel Group has turned smallholder post-harvest processes into farmer income and consumer nutrition through a self-sustaining business model with no grants or outside capital. So please join me in welcoming Perseverance to share her presentation. Perseverance, feel free to take control of the screen.
The presentation. I'm happy to be joining everyone today to share about my experience and my journey as a founder of an enterprise in Zimbabwe. From the introduction, I think you have heard that we specialize in agro-processing and value addition of farm produce. I grew up in a farming community in Zimbabwe, seeing smallholder farmers working very hard and earning so little. So I decided to build my business to solve that problem. You can move. So here's the story. So my passion for agriculture helped me to start up a solar-powered agro-processing company. And we started in 2020 with nothing. And to date, we have never raised external capital, but we managed to reach our break even in 2023. So to date, we have supported more than 15,000 smallholder farmers. We are a market aggregator for smallholder farmers, and we have more than 15 product lines and more than 12 years industry expertise. So I built this first solar-powered agro-processing, eliminating grid electricity dependence, because here in Zimbabwe, we face a lot of load shedding and power cuts. So when we started, we just said we're going to use renewable energy. So all our operations are solar-powered, and we are also reducing carbon emissions while processing fresh produce year-round. And we have been recognized by World Intellectual Property Organization when we registered our trademark for the more than 15 product lines that I've spoken about. So we have a trademark, and we have been recognized also by African Union, Afreximbank, World Trade Organization, International Trade Center, Solar Impulse Foundation for Innovations and Sustainability and Women Leadership in agribusiness. So your background doesn't stop you from being whatever you want to do and also from achieving your goals as an individual. So Africa has a food paradox. We feed the world's people with our soil, yet 40% of everything we grow never reaches a plate. So 40% of Africa's fresh produce is lost before it reaches consumers. That's like 800 million plus people in Africa go to bed hungry despite abundant agricultural land. And 48 billion US dollars is lost every year to food waste across the African continent. And 30% of smallholder farmers' income is also lost to price collapse at harvest. So after realizing all this, we decided to start this solar agro processing, relying solely on the sun, because the sun is abundant in Africa. And we have also seen a business opportunity based on the figures that are beamed here. So we have three compounding failures that contribute to food loss in Africa. Number one is energy poverty. Number two is broken value chain. Number three is no value addition. So all these failures, they helped us to come up with a solution that we managed to deploy our solar dehydration technology that is now in use, and it is also replicable across Africa and other regions where the sun is abundant. So our agro-processing model, we source directly from farmers because we want to trace farm to table, and then we solar process. We do value addition through sun drying. So the other products are sold as powders or special flours, and the other products are just sold as like dried fruits or your dried vegetables. And we then convert the dried vegetables maybe to vegetable powders, the dried fruits to fruit powders. And then we export. Currently, we are exporting within the SADC and the COMESA region because of the favorable tariffs and also easy logistics, because Zimbabwe is a landlocked country. So for us, solar is the game changer. We don't have electricity bills, reducing operating costs by 60%. We also process year-round regardless of Zimbabwe's power cuts. Solar efficient solution label in 2022 certified, zero scope, no carbon emissions from processing operations. Like I said before, our model is replicable across farming regions in any country. So why solar changes everything? Climate impact, we are stewards of the environment that we operate in. And it also gives us economic liberation. And it also helps us to attract investors. So just last year in November, we were approached by an Indian company to form a joint venture because they want to expand into Africa from India. And they were looking for a partner in Africa. So because they looked at our products, they ordered our products, they tested our products, and in the whole of Africa, they decided to reach out to us and for this $20 million joint venture, because whatever they are doing in India is closely the same. In India, they are doing solar osmotic dehydration, which also leaves the processed foods nutrients dense. So with us who are doing solar dehydration with no preservatives or additives, they found us to be a perfect partner. So we are currently working out on that 20 million joint venture, and we have already incorporated a company, Aniva Foods, and I am the managing director for that joint venture. So the two communities that we serve are upstream farmers. That's 15,000, more than 15,000 smallholder farmers that I've spoken of, because we give them guaranteed minimum prices. We eliminate middlemen, and we also include technical support. Then the downstream communities, nutritional food at accessible prices, year-round food availability, schools and institutional supply, women-led food security model. So for us, if you want mangoes in Zimbabwe, mangoes, you get them around November to February. But because we are dehydrating these mangoes, we are able to eat them all year round. So what we are saying is, through our model, we are feeding the nations and also making sure that food security is secure for the downstream communities. So we have one enterprise with 3 climate actions. We eliminate food waste emissions. We also zero emission processing, and we have also shortened the supply chains. So our model doesn't just produce food, it also prevents climate damage that would otherwise happen at every stage of the food loss chain. So from Zimbabwe to the world stage, we have been awarded more than 13 awards. Young Africa Program for Innovation and Entrepreneurship in 2021, Africa Next Champion for Innovation and Entrepreneurship in 2022. We are also certified as a financial inclusion expert because we also train communities on financial inclusion, on how they can, after setting up a farming business, how then do you manage that business? And in 2023, we were also awarded the Next She Exporter because we started exporting to Zambia, South Africa, and Malawi. At the Intra-Africa Trade Fair in 2021 in Durban, we were also awarded the Outstanding Exhibitor Award. In 2022, our solution was recognized by the as an efficient solution label by Solar Impulse Foundation. In 2023, we were also recognized by World Intellectual Property, Women in Agribusiness, and the showcase the export recognition by Afrexim Bank. Last year, we were also at Michigan State University for a professional fellows program. And we were also chosen by the UK government to be part of their UK Trade Partnership Program, connecting Zimbabwe business to the UK, and also International Trade Center, ITC1, a trade package for agribusinesses. And just next, in 2 weeks' time, I'll be in Kigali as one of the finalists for the Women in Agribusiness Achievers Awards. So this is what I wish I had known at 25. You need to start even before you think you're not not ready. And the problem is the business. Sometimes we see problems as problems and not as business opportunities. And your network is your net worth. The friends, the people that are within you can then help you to then start your business. Protect what you built. We operated without a trademark, without any IP assets until 2023, when we were assisted by World Intellectual Property Organization. So, and technology is also an equalizer, and your story is your strength. So, youth voices in practice. At Alzano, our voice is not speech or a hashtag. It is more than 15,000 farmers, families.
Okay, let's just give her a second. I think she's having technical difficulty.
I'm back again, but I think we are almost done, right, Ethan?
Yeah, not long. About 1
All
minute
right.
remaining.
Okay. So community is the best business model. For us, we operate in the communities that we serve. So, and also just look for local solutions for global problems. Many a times we want to look for fancy solutions or things that are out of our reach. But what I can tell anyone who's listening is just try to have local solutions that will take you to the global stage.
Hey, thank you for the insightful presentation, Perseverance. Now we'll move on to the next presenter. Okay, and that's David. Can you all see my screen? Okay. So just introducing David. David is a Nigerian entrepreneur, sustainability advocate, and he's the founder of Vilma Integrated Nigeria Limited. His business is a social enterprise that turns organic waste into sustainable animal feed and fertilizer using the black soldier fly larvae technology. He's also a Tony Elumelu Foundation entrepreneur. With regards to his project is from waste to value, and he'll show us how the black soldier fly larvae process converts over 10,000 kilograms of organic waste into affordable feed for livestock farmers, thereby reducing waste and making farmers' lives easier. So, join me in welcoming David. Okay, David, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you so much, Ethan Kigundu, for the warm introduction. And good day, everyone across the globe. My name is David from Nigeria. Please, Kigundu, can you share the slides for me, please? Thank you.
Okay, I am sharing the slides. You should be able to see them.
Yes, good. I can see it clearly now. Well, basically, what we are doing at Vilma is we are converting waste into value. And this is more of a youth-led innovation, which is strengthening food security and sustainable communities altogether. So it's a pledge of presenting at the International Youth Day Collaboratory. Please, can you move forward to the next slide, Kingudu? Yes, as you can see, the problem we face at our community is that tons of food waste are dumped or burnt. This creates environmental and health risk, while farmers equally spend over 70% as production costs on animal feed due to expensive feed ingredients like soybean and fish meal. Now, we see seeing these challenges, one question that popped up in my mind was, no, I've not done with the problem slide. The question that came through my mind is, what if waste could become part of the solution to expensive feed ingredients? Now, basically, as a young entrepreneur in Nigeria, growing up in Benue State, at 2022, the high cost of feed was so high, and therefore many farmers had to quit from poultry and livestock production. And so going about, I and my team, we saw waste littered around, food waste everywhere. And so we thought about it that, okay, if the farmers are passing through the challenges of high costs of feed due to expensive feed ingredients like soybean and fish meal, what alternative feed can we provide for these farmers to improve their income and livelihood? Then the black soldier fly idea came in. Next slide. Kingudu, can you hear me?
Yes, you should be able to see
So
the next slide.
basically, yeah. That is why at DIMA we transform organic food waste into high protein insect meat for poultry and livestock farmers, and equally aquaculture farmers using the black soldier fly larvae technology. The basic impacts are it reduces feed costs by over 40%, cuts greenhouse gas emissions that are harmful to humans and the environment, it improves farmers' income and livelihood, creates green jobs for young people. So basically, that is the solution and the impact of what we are doing as young people. Next slide. Ethan? Yeah, this is the product and process. Now, this is how it works. The food waste or organic waste is fed to the black soldier fly larvae, which are the maggots, as you can see on the screen being shared here. The larvae eats up the waste and becomes in 14 days, it becomes mature and is harvested and sieved, then dried and then grounded into protein meal, which is now used as feed for the poultry and the livestock, the poultry and the livestock. Basically, the larva is also fed fresh to chickens, to pigs, and to fishes. When you harvest them fresh, you can pour them into the ponds and then the fishes can now eat them up. When you harvest them fresh, you can feed them to the chicken, they eat it fresh, they like it fresh. You can also feed it to the pigs, they eat it fresh. Then another benefit of the conversion process, it brings up organic fertilizer, which is the frass. The frass is now used by crop farmers as a source of organic fertilizer to fertilize their plants, which cuts off the synthetic use of fertilizer. So that is the product and the process description. Thank you. Next slide, please. What youth leadership looks like. To me, I see youth leadership like seeing opportunities where others see challenges. For example, when the issue of the high cost of feed knocked on farmers so hard, many never saw such an opportunity in my community. But I saw the opportunity of waste littering around and then the high cost of feed as a way to address the problem of the farmers. And then working alongside communities to create solutions. Now, how do we work with the communities? We work with the communities by engaging young people through the collection of these organic waste which are processed, which creates a sort of green jobs for young people also. Then learning in every business. Process so as to improve through every experiences. So next up is building partnerships that amplify local impact. Yeah, that comes, no, sorry, I'm not done with the slide. Yeah, that comes up with our collaboration with the Benue State Environmental Sanitation Agency, where we gather waste for processing, and then our collaboration with the Tony Elumelu Foundation, where our startup was funded with a seed capital of $5,000 to improve what we do. And then turning good ideas into practical solutions that improve lives. This is where I charge young people to always seek for ideas that can bring solutions to relevant problems, because without identifying a problem, there can never be a solution. We should always ask ourselves as young people that what can we do to solve this particular problem, not trying to put the problem in front of us always, but we should try to put the solution in front of us always. So that brings about the turning bold ideas into practical solutions that improve lives for ourselves and our various communities. Next up. So lessons I learned from my community. We've learned that every community has untapped resources waiting to be transformed. For example, aside turning the food waste to animal feed, I can tell you that there are other huge opportunities lying in our communities that need funding also to be tapped into for the benefit of the common man or the community's amounts of rice husk and the wood waste that is littered around that is emitting lump sums of greenhouse gas emissions into the air. And so if this is eventually converted to wood charcoal, for example, it can solve the energy problem of the local people, like the cooking, they use charcoal to cook. And as I speak to you currently, they have cut down almost all the hardwoods because of producing charcoal. But another opportunity is this: after cutting down these trees need to be planted to protect the environment alongside, as we have the rice husk and then the sawdust, which is littered and creating environmental harm. Rather, if we can be able to convert this into make it affordable for local people to be able to get cooking energy so that they can cook their meals for their families. And so most affected. For example, before we were able to start the process of conversion of BSF into feed, we did some research, some feasibility studies across Nigeria from various states where farmers indicated interest of an alternative feed to feed their livestock and their birds. And so we had listened to their complaint keenly before coming up to transform waste to affordable animal protein for their livestock. And so local challenges can inspire globally relevant solutions. Now, what this means is that as we are here today, we have Ethan Kigundu. I guess you are from Kenya, and the Muzeya is from Zambia, and the rest of us, some are from Afghanistan. Are you there?
It looks like
Yes.
Ethan had got booted for a second, and I think he is just getting things pulled back up.
Yep.
And so
Sorry
I think he'll
about
have your
that.
slides back up as soon as his connection restores.
It's okay. It's okay.
Mhm.
Okay, you
So
should be
let
able to
me
see us.
be okay. It's like Ethan is back. Hello?
Yes, hello. Can you see the slides
So
now? Sorry
local
about that.
challenges can inspire globally relevant solutions. There is no country that has no food waste. And I think if by the time local solutions like ours are being replicated across the world, it is going to support various communities with affordable feed and then cut the greenhouse gas emissions also. Then collaboration creates stronger and more sustainable outcomes. Now, what we mean by this is, as we are here today, I don't know, but there may be some persons who are working in this line where I'm working, or who may be interested to work with us or invest in what we are doing. So we are open for collaborations to create stronger and more sustainable outcome for our local communities. And then empowered youth can become catalysts for lasting community transformation. Now, in this last sentence or statement, I would like to say that most times young people have great ideas, but implementation becomes a challenge because of, I'll say, lack of funding or startup capital to commence their operations or bring their ideas to life. And so when young people are empowered, they become catalysts for lasting community transformations. Next up. So building community futures together. I invite young people to collaborate by knowledge sharing and mutual learning, just like we are doing on this stage of International
Just to
Youth
notify you,
Day
you have 1 minute
Collaboratory.
left. Sorry to
I was
interrupt.
able to learn from what Peserverance Muzeya is doing over there in Zambia. Ethan, you said?
You have 1
Hello,
minute
Ethan.
left to present. Just letting you know.
Yeah, okay, no problem. So knowledge sharing and mutual learning, I was able to learn from what Muzeya said. Cross-cultural partnerships and innovation. We are from different tribes and ethnic groups gathered here today. Is part of cross-cultural partnerships and innovation that we are seeking. And then research and educational collaboration. I recall that some time ago, Michigan State University and USAID funded a project that was part of, which is the Soil Mapping Productivity Index. I was part of that wonderful project. And it was a research project that gathered soil samples from some pilot states across Nigeria. And so it was a wonderful experience too. We are equally open to such research and educational collaboration from the Michigan State University too. So youth-led networks that drives local action. We are equally open for such networks. And then collective commitment to sustainable communities. We are equally committed to partnering and making our various communities to excel. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah, our vision is to support more smallholder farmers, to divert more organic waste from landfills that harm our environment. We intend to create more green jobs for young people. We intend to strengthen food systems across Africa and inspire more young innovators through what we have done to solve community challenges. Next up. So thank you, everyone. I want you all to know that when we don't just create innovators, but we create stronger communities, healthier food systems, and a more sustainable future. Thank you, everyone. Let's connect and continue the conversation after this call. Bye for now. Any questions?
Okay, so we will accept questions towards the end of everyone's presentations. So feel free to include your questions in the chat and we'll get to them at the end of everyone's presentations. So next up, we have our next presenter, who is Toluwani Kushimo from Nigeria. She's a social work graduate at Babcock University and the founder of Tabitha's Alabaster Initiative, which is a youth-led organization advancing the rights of teenage girls in underserved communities. Her presentation, Voices That Matter, looks at how the initiative enters schools and community spaces to create safe dialogues with around gender-based violence, consent, and self-worth. So I'll just give her the floor, and Toluwani, feel free to begin your presentation.
Thank you for the introduction. My topic this afternoon and different time zones is Every Girl's Voice, turning silence into dialogue and girls into agents of their own future. Like it has been said, I'm founder of Tabitha Alabaster Initiative, an initiative focused on girls' education, everything pertaining to girls, gender-based violence advocacy, and the likes. Next slide, please. So, the premise, the beginning, Silence is what protects abuse. The first point I said is what isn't named isn't challenged. So when gender-based violence goes undiscussed, when it is not known, when people don't get to know about the negative impacts, the challenges, the effects on girls, it goes uninterrupted, nothing will be done. So what do? We start the conversations. We go to schools, we go to community spaces, we go to local networks. Like from my initiative, we've been to schools, we've been to community leaders, we've been to even churches and local networks. And then from all these outreaches and everything, we leave something behind. We create the awareness of GBV, gender-based violence. We give the girls confidence, and then the community talking about the topic. Next slide, please. Okay, I think I'll just go on. So in the next slide, I highlighted who we are. We are youth-led and we are girl-centered. We advance the rights and dignity of teenage girls in undeserved communities. We create rights-based education on gender-based violence. We give awareness to the girls on consent and self-worth. We teach them in languages that the girls already use, in languages they understand and languages they can relate with. Intercultural outreaches, global rights frameworks translated into local cultural reality. So we also incorporate global rights, global human rights frameworks, constitutions, and all that. We enlighten them, but we also apply it to their culture, the areas, the communities that we go to. In the next slide, I said, why now? A right on paper is not a right in practice. So there are global frameworks that the girl child has never heard of, poverty that makes living unaffordable, norms that treat silence as respect, adults who mistake awareness for safety. So there are rights, there are frameworks that this girl child has never heard of. And then some of them stay in this, or some of them adapt to GBV, gender-based violence, probably because of poverty in their own communities, poverty in their own areas, which has made living unaffordable for them. And then some communities see this as a norm. There are some communities in our country here where they see it as a normal thing. They see it as a culture. It isn't illegal for they don't see anything wrong with gender-based violence. They don't even see it as an issue. So the adults also mistake awareness for safety. So we work in the distance between all these issues. What approach do we use? We go from safe dialogue to girl-led advocacy. Each stage hands more of the work to the girls themselves. First, we enter with respect. We go to schools, we go to community spaces, we go to local gatekeepers. We start from the community heads, the leaders, the kings, and the youth leader in the schools, the principal, whoever is the head, we start from there. We open a safe dialogue, gender-based violence. We get consent and self-worth without shame. Then we train peer facilitators. The girls carry the conversations to other girls. There was a time I was involved with a group where we did a training to a number of girls, and then another set under the boys. But now I'm focusing on the girls. We did a training for a number of girls, and then from different schools, we picked some, and then we trained this few number of girls, and then we sent them to also train the rest of the school because they have a large class. So that's why I said train peer facilitators. So we taught them on the different topics for about 6 weeks, and then we gave them the liberty to then train others after they have been onboarded and then the training already ended. So the training keeps going on, it keeps going on, it keeps going on. Then the next thing we do is mobilize the community. Families and leaders share accountability, and then the girls also advocate for themselves and are heard. Next slide, please. How we engage: dialogue, not lecture. Culturally sensitive tools. We use proverbs, languages, and stories the community already trusts. We allow the girls to ask questions, get their own point of view, what they understand, what they feel is right, what they feel is not right. We ask questions, um, what their own view on the topic, and then we get answers. No shame in the room, confidentiality, and consent and self-worth discussed without accusation or blame. Next slide, please. Girl-led advocacy, agents, not recipients. Peer facilitation, girls trained to run the next conversations without us. Like I said, they are trained, and then the conversations goes on without us being there. This is one of the schools that we visited. Each of my slides has some pictures which we can follow up on later on. Then their own advocacy, they raise the issues they choose in their own words. Community accountability, families and leaders asked to own the outcome too. Global citizenship, locally, a girl who claims her rights recognizes everyone else's own. The next slide, impact, where it shows up. The girls' language for what happened and the confidence to use it. Families, conversations that used to end now continues at all. Communities, shared accountability instead of individual blame. So in the community, each and everyone is accountable, not individual blames anymore. Global citizenship, local dialogue that carries a universal rights claim. The next slide, I spoke about the challenges we face before, during, and after these outreaches, what we are honest about. First, safeguarding first. Opening a conversation creates a duty to refer and protect. The next, cultural pushback. Challenging a norm can cost a girl standing at home. It could, when these girls try to challenge a norm, they most families tend to probably send them away from home, abuse them, and all that. So challenges of norms cost a girl standing at home. We leave the girl leaving the home and not having a home or family. So there's this fear where they are not able to stand against it. Then beyond the visit, one session changes lead to without a return and a follow-up. Follow-up could be difficult sometimes, probably because of distance, financial issues and all that. Reach and resourcing, distance and funding decide how many communities we enter. So distance, funding, resources, this determines the communities we get to. The next slide, in conclusion, every girl's voice matters. Heard, every girl's voice is heard, valued, and protected. And I said dialogue dismantles what awareness alone leaves standing. When there's a dialogue, it's a step further to awareness. Intercultural empathy is built locally in the language a community trusts. And then girls are agents of change. The work is to hand them the microphone earlier. Thank you. Questions and discussion. And my contact details are on the last slide. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. We'll take questions at the end, but feel free to leave them in the chat right now, and we'll have all of those addressed towards the end of all the presentations. So next up, we have Martin Salanda from Zambia. He's a final year development studies student at the University of Zambia, focused on the governance and of agricultural input programs and the socio-economic empowerment of smallholder farmers. His project, from fertilizer to food sovereignty, proposes a digital monitoring platform that lets people in rural districts map fertilizer distribution, report discrepancies in real time, and verify beneficiary lists. So, welcome, Martin, and you can start your presentation.
Thank you so very much, and greetings to everyone. Am I audible enough?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Right, we can go straight to the slide, and then we can have our conversation. As alluded to the introduction, Martin from Zambia, the final year student in development studies, but also the background of agriculture. That's my entry profession, with experts of working with SMEs, farmers, the rural communities. I think for the past 7 years, I've been working mostly with the youth enterprises on different projects, such as the USAID Age project, that we are helping to access financing, access inputs, access to market, and also making sure the livelihood of farmers are improved. In addition to that, I've been engaged with IITA, the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture in Zambia, in the SADC region office, where we have been working with different youth clusters in 4 different provinces of the country from 2018. And even in some space, we've been working with the different youth and young farming groups in terms of community development, in terms of food sovereignty itself, the seed systems, food security, and also the market systems that support and helps integration of markets and allow these SMEs be able to have a complete value chain completion from production, marketing, distribution, storage, and also supply. Beyond that, I've also been working with the Jacaranda Hub as a business development support, mentor, and as well as a coach for youths in agribusiness. So that's a background where I'm coming from. We can go to the next slide. Okay, so that's a basic profile of who I am. I'm an Unleash alumni 2023 in Rwanda, as an African Agroecology Award recipient, as the best in 2021, and then SDG expert and climate enthusiast. Those are the space that I operate in. The next slide. Okay, so now coming from the question that we are addressing today, it emanates from the challenge that we have had, which is basically the FISIP. So FISIP is the farming input support program that has been implemented by the government way back from independence 1964. So we're talking about for the past 60 years, the government is implementing this project supporting farmers and the community to help them improve and increase their yield, and as well as have their household economy improved. But now, from my background of working with the community and especially the young people in the same area, I found a problem with the program that whilst the government has been supporting the young people who are involved in the production, there has been very little translation of and graduation of this particular program. Why is because we have about 3 million farmers every year that run this program, and these 3 million farmers, you can imagine, they have to produce food in excess of 3.5 million metric tons every year to be able to feed a population of about 20 million. But now the challenge has been there is that whilst these producers are able to produce the food and be able to supply and support the food basket of the country and contribute to the national GDP, the livelihood of the producers themselves has still remained the same. There has been very little translation in terms of their economic status. There's been very little translation in terms of their value, in terms of, household economy. It has been basic, and this has created a demeter syndrome where the farmers have entirely been depending on FISIP every year in, every year out. So this now became a challenge for me, and I thought it could be a business opportunity, and then come in and bridge the gap so that we are able to integrate the support that is able to help, young people to graduate, not only graduating, but also graduating as financially stable, not only graduating with stability in terms of finances, but also be able to make sure that the food sovereignty and the food security at household level has been met. Now, access alone does not guarantee farmer graduation and also does not guarantee food security at household level. Why? Is because the system has always created dependence and with very little development. The system of supporting farmers, has remained at the same production level year in, year out for the past many years. And then because of all this, it has become a political incentive, mostly, utilized by the political bourgeoisie who are using this as a conduit for political mileage. And that has actually necessitated our farmers remaining at the same state for quite a long time. Apart from that, the inputs that our farmers are getting are not always enough because they don't have really access to certified, seed systems. They don't have, proper, input in terms of fertilizers they're supposed to use. They don't have support in terms of further extension service. They don't have support in terms of road network. They have to move 30, 40 kilometers for them to go and access these inputs every year. So when all these problems were grouped and put together, I realized there was a gap in terms of market, there was a gap in terms of graduation, there was a gap in terms of dependence, because at the end of the day, we would want to have a model that empowers, not only support the smallholder farmers and youth inclusive. On the next slide, where we are going to, we are going to understand that NutriGreen, being my company that I founded, and I'm a CEO there as well as the founder, has brought in a competitive, pathway from the input, to income from 2023 to 2025, where we began now participating on this program, and we began to pilot to work with our smallholder farmers. So how did we model now this solution, the package? So we have got what we call a full pack, where we have got the seed, the fertilizer, not only these two that the government has been supporting the farmers, but we come in now with the knowledge that has been missing for a longer time, so that farmers are able to have financial inclusion support to be able to save from whatever they raise from the production, and also be able to scale up in terms of the size of land from a lima to an acre, from an acre to a hectare. And that is what we want at the end of the day. Is these young people, as they are progressing and growing in the production, they should be able to grow the capacity and be able to scale up. Number two is that we have introduced a field school support. So the school field support is where you have demonstration centers where these SMEs are able to come and learn. So they don't have an opportunity of them receiving the packs, but they have an opportunity for them to have the after sale support where they have the trainings, they have the peer-to-peer conversations, they are able to have learning centers. And then this helps them practically because we are dealing with rural community, where levels of literacy are quite very high. The level of production is still very low scale. We still use, offcuts in terms of cultivation. You can imagine where you have young people who are willing to grow and produce, but they are still using an old traditional way of production. So their rate of producing per acre or per hectare is still at a very low level because they don't have the equipment, they don't have the mechanization, they don't have the irrigation. And this is the gap that we have now come in to support. Not only do we help them support with the peer-to-peer learning, but as well as the buyback support, where we link now the market to the farmers or these SMEs, these young people who are producing. So the technology and the innovation now comes in where they are very sure that whatever they are going to produce has got an already offtake market, and not on an offtake market, but a guaranteed premium, comprehensive, insured market buyback that assured market for their produce as they produce them. Because of these three, the outcome now becomes an proper income stability and also reinvestment in their saving support, where we support farmers, the youths, in terms of receiving whatever they sell, not using everything that they supply. So we have an empowered youth, we have a productive, community, and then this translates into now proper food sovereignty. So the model deliberately connects inputs, learning, production, market access, and as well as reinvestment. And this becomes a balanced model in terms of how our growers are able to grow. Now, on the next slide, you will find that actually, apart from the solution being complete, we have got proven impact that comes with what we have done in the past 3 years. This transformative system was piloted when we started in Eastern Province in one of the districts. So we have 16 districts in the province. One of the districts, that the total number of farmers that we have serviced this far, we're talking about 36,000 beneficiaries on the CC per farmers have been serviced. From this, we have 2,500 that we have trained in agronomical practices, in sustainable climate technologies, in adoption in terms of agroecology, sustainable ways of producing. And then we have the 450 that have been directly adapted, the climate technologies. Apart from just adopting the technologies, we have also linked them to the market, because when we supply them with the inputs, we run with them, we train them, we support them, we hold them by their hand. When they produce, we link them to the market. So it's a system that has got a wide footprint with a deliberate shift towards capability and adoption and markets. Now, when we go to the next slide, with this impact that it has proven now, late last year, we have organically been growing. We have not received any external support and funding, but because of our engagement with the government in 2023, I participated in the development and the modeling of our current agriculture policy that we use. I was one of the participants who did the drafting of the policy. So because of understanding of the gaps and the niches that were there in the policy, we were able to participate on the call that Food Agriculture Organization made, the matching grant support. That was last year. And we are beginning to implement that support this year with the support of $10,000 that is matching grant that we have been given by the Food Agriculture Organization to work with the Ministry of Agriculture as well as the Research Center to be able to support our SMEs and our youths on the project, starting with 40 as a pilot, which we are beginning with, to give them certified seed that has been certified by the government to be able to have this. So we are basically now migrating not only to be supporting inputs to the farmers, but we are going in as a seed growing institution. So we have undergone trainings by the Ministry of Agriculture. We have undergone trainings through the Research Center, and FAO is coming to support our firm NutriGreen. And now we are becoming a certified seed growers, which then is going to allow us to be able to have control with the seed, because we'll be producing our own seed that will be supporting our farmers. So we have a 40 pilot team of farmers that we're going to be giving 1 lima each, purely for this project that we want to support and see to be able to prototype and learn on how best we can have the certified seed, scaled up within the community. We don't want the seed to be produced far from where the growers are, but want to cut the cost in terms of transport, want to cut the cost in terms of wastage, want to make sure that our farmers are supported in terms of soil testing, want to make sure the nutritional value of each and every field of our farmers are supported. And because of this, we're actually introducing a hub center at the production. So we have 2 hectares of land that we have dedicated to this project. And then each farmer is going to have 1 lima. On these 2 hectares, we're intending to set up, irrigation support to be able to run overthrow in an event. We have got drought cover in case we have got challenges in terms of climate that has been changing. We want to have 90% of the control in terms of the risks that would actually disturb the whole growth pattern of the production by the farmers. So this helps with practical training and peer learning by the farmers. It helps with innovation and climate smart technologies. It will help with enterprise thinking from the beginning of the model all the way. And then it's a manageable starting point that then we design, for scale. So we started with what is manageable, and now we are slowly, scaling up. On the next slide, when we have started off with this learning process with the field schools, which the farmers, which the youths themselves are able to see have been learning by doing. So this changes the narrative. They don't just grow with what they have heard, but they grow with what they have heard and what they have learned and what they have practiced. This changes the way on how production is made because we have got a business model attached to the production. So it's no longer just production. It's actually agri-business, where there's a business aspect on each and every, seed planted, on each and every size of land used, on each and every quantity of water, given to the plant, of each and every small grain of fertilizer, any organic element that we introduce to the soil. We are making sure that the farmers are learning this, and already it has changed the narrative because it has increased the yield from the previous harvest that we had, where farmers were getting 60 bags, 40 bags per hectare. From the learning process that we have done now, they are able to do 120, 130. And for us, this is the scale that we are talking about. And slowly we need to increase and improve and then move, to the other districts, and then you cover up the province. Then we can go regional and finally maybe go on the global space and then begin to export the seed that we'll be producing with our cluster of farmers. Now, the innovation that comes with this learning on the next slide is that the food pack has got certified seed. The food pack has got fertilizer. The food pack has got crop protection and also timely support in terms of crop protection. We have got extension team. So I have a team of experts in agriculture extension that support every single day technical guidance so that our youths don't make mistakes. And then we have got a training and coaching support where we have got a peer-to-peer, conversation and learning. So there's no shortcut in the process of growth for what we have set up. And we make sure that we equip our young people for results. That's the innovation that comes in. With this now, we have attached, the accountability technology to be able to trace from the beginning to the very end. Yeah, we can go to the next slide. We can go to the next slide. So now we have made sure that we are putting up a tracking system that will be able to track from the first beginning of identification of the farmer to the last payment that is given to the farmer. We are using a tool at the moment, the Kobo, because it's an open source, the Kobo Collect tool. We are hoping that actually by 2027, mid to 2028, as we go into the farming season of 2027 and 2028, we should be able to have got our own phone application and dashboard that we'll be using for traceability purposes. So there's nothing that is wasted, and our farmers can have a wallet support to make that when we are making payments to them, they're not only paid, but also they're able to save from the same. And from the savings, they're able to take their children to school. They're able to pay for their school fees, those who are still in secondary school. We're able to pay for those who are going to tertiary education. They can save up monies progressively every year, so that when time comes for them to go to tertiary education, they have got something to start with, because not everyone can be supported by the government to go into, tertiary education. So we have got a traceability support that we are now developing and working on to make sure that the model that we are using is able to speak to the challenge that we want to address. Yeah, and then the guaranteed market, it's a closed loop by connecting production to market. So we have an assured market, and it's not no longer survival, it's purely business. With the changes that have come with all this, we should be able to see a change in the next season that we are going into, where we are able to move these growers from just being survival to actual sustainability. We want them to remain sustainable. Okay, and now from the numbers that we have worked with, the 36,000 from the beginning. Of the 2,500 that have been trained, we're talking about 6.9% of our youth supported. Of the 450, we're talking about 1.2% that overall so far we have done on this pilot. And then in the 450 who have adopted the technology, of the 2,500 that have been trained, we're talking about 18%. And then in terms of adoption linked to the market, it's 100% because all the 450 that are adopted have been linked. These are not maybe very small numbers, but actually they are getting bigger tomorrow because we want to move the narrative from small numbers and change to 1,000, tomorrow. Now, with all this that has been put together on the next slide, the last slide. I think this was a repetition of the slide. Yeah. So our distinctive approach is the 400 SMEs upscaled, technology introduced, rooted in terms of community development and growth. But at the end of the day, our impact is able to translate into a rural community that is changed, that is grown, that is saving, that is scaled up, and also in terms of food security has been improved rather than remaining at the same level every year that comes. So our experience has built trust and the partnerships that deliver results. I think should be the last slide. Yeah, so with the food sovereignty, young people are producing what we eat, owning the value that we create. Strong local seed systems, sustainable production, thriving rural youth enterprises, resilient communities. This is our model. So we don't just farm, rather we build the future from what we are farming. So with this mentioned, our target is to go to 10,000 in the next 5 years from the 40 that we have begun with, and more land production, more food produced, more community transformed, more jobs are going to be created, more youth are going to be empowered because of traceability that we have put in place. So let's invest in the youth, let's invest in the system, let's build food sovereignty. And I know that the future is bright. So together we can scale up. Thank you so very much.
Okay, thank you, Martin, for that presentation. Now we will move into the Q&A segment of this panel. I would like to invite any questions that you have. Please raise your hands. So any questions that you have for the expert, raise your hands. I don't see any questions in chat, but feel free to raise your hand or put a question in chat and they will address your questions.
Hey, I can speak a few words as we've been talking about climate change.
Yes, that's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, sometimes we say that the climate change has negative impacts, and this is true, and especially in the least developed countries. And in the countries which are more developed, like the United States, which produces a lot of different crops, it has positive impact here, but it has negative impact in those countries which are least developed, as countries like from Africa and me from Afghanistan. So there is a whole myth that is there a climate change or not? So I think as individuals, as people who have NGOs and they can have more impact, we can raise our voice that there is actually climate change. We all have been working in this. We are supporting different farmers and people and indigenous species and living being and promoting these crop production under climate change. But there's still a myth that, oh, there's no climate change. We are doing research here in Lower Michigan, which is a heavily agriculture area, and the crop yield has significantly increased from the 1980s till date. And some climate scenarios in future is indicating that the crop yield may keep increasing. But when we see the actual soil moisture or the crop relevant water, we found that soil moisture drought has happened 25 times since the last 40 years in some spots of this heavily agriculture area. So I would like to just say that we can raise our voice that climate change is happening and we should do something about it. And secondly, I would like to appreciate all the works that you guys have been doing. Perseverance, as a woman who is bringing this much change, the figures itself speaks 15,000 farmers you have supported. That's incredible as a woman who is leading these innovations. And I have a small question to David. Sometime we say that converting waste into fertilizer. What do you think? What if we convert waste into energy or biogas? What do you think? Would that be a good alternative for the society?
Sorry, I didn't get your question, Rahil.
Yes. So in your work, you are converting waste into organic fertilizer, which is also very important for the society and agriculture production. There's another alternative that we convert waste into biogas. We put it in a system, and then without having oxygen over there, and then anaerobic digestion, it will create methane, and those gases will be used for the communities. Just I'm saying as an alternative, you can explore that, or if you have any opinion on that.
Rahil, sorry, the network broke. I didn't get your question clearly. Can you come again? Sorry for the inconvenience.
Yes, I will write it down. I will write it down, and if you have
Okay,
something, you can.
good. Write it down, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, as he writes it down, I believe Brooke might have something to say to our presenters.
Yeah, I just wanted to again echo the thank you for the different pieces that y'all shared. Learning more about how you are impacting your communities and the wide scales that you're doing it is really incredible to hear. And I'm someone who always gets inspired just by hearing folks share the different things. And I'm like, yeah, let me go up what I'm doing in my communities and the connections to be made. I have a question specifically for Toluwani. Um, Regarding the work that you're doing. I love that you're involving families in the conversations that you're having, and talked about how those continue at home. I was just curious about how you get buy-in, for families to want to be engaged with the initiative. I think it's really easy to bring the women themselves into the space, but how do you help them continue those conversations at home?
Yeah, Ethan, I've
Um,
gotten his question. I've gotten Rahil's question. He said is biogas an alternative to, let me see. It's, sorry, I'm coming. He said, is biogas production a good alternative to fertilizer production? Yeah, biogas seem to be a good alternative, but you see, when you're trying to produce, you try to look at what the farmers want because you're solving a problem. And for the interim, what the farmers want is an alternative to conventional feeds and fertilizer, which is far cheaper. So as it progresses, there are more than enough waste. So as it progresses and farmers indicating interest on the biogas production, we can equally do that and equally provide the alternative feeds and fertilizers for them. Have I answered your question?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
hey, thank you for that. Next we can have Toluwani, if she's present to answer the question from our expert Brooke.
Yes, I am. Okay, so for the question, she said, how do we get the families to keep talking about um, the issues we address? So Like I said in my presentation, when we go to a new community, we first reach out to the heads, the leaders of the particular organization we are going to. And then if we go to the community, we go to the community leader like king, the youth president, the youth head, or this or that. So when we then now come for the outreach, we go to the churches, we go to the markets. Sometimes we meet them during their community meetings. So the women are present, the men are present, and then when we go to schools also, the children are present. There's something that when they go back home, the child can be like, oh, so group came to our school. The women can be, oh, so group came to the market. The men can be like, oh, so group came to our meetings. So the awareness, there's also the street community awareness where I did my internship. They go on the streets, we create awareness also. So that way, different people hear it from different places, and then the conversations continue. I believe that answered the question. The question, please.
It did. I'd love to hear more. And I know we don't have time, but I'm just so intrigued about how you like get to, or if you even get to revisit with the same folks that you might have been able to connect with in the past, just to continue those connections. I'm super intrigued. I know we don't have too much time though. So again, thank you all, and I will pass it over to Ethan to see if there's anything he wants to say to close.
Yes, thank you, Brooke. There's really nothing left, and in the interest of time, I'll end the Q&A here, and we'll return to the next part of the meeting for the main program.